how would you live your life from this second on if you knew that no matter what happens, everything is going to be alright? What would you do if you were fearless? After I left my school and I changed schools, I took a moment after a long time of procrastinating it to call some of my old friends. And these are friends I haven't spoken to in months on purpose because we fell out. And by we fell out, I mean, I had moments of deep connection and bonding. Of course, they weren't good for me. And I had moments where I really connected with them, and then as time passed on, I felt that it was getting one sided, and the friends that I cared so much did not show the same level of interest in me. And that, along with many other insults from a lot of people, led to me believing that I need to be more charismatic, I need to have better social skills, I need to climb up the dominance hierarchy, the popular hierarchy. And I just had this fear, this resistance to expressing this need for approval. And I couldn't stand up for myself. And so when I shifted schools, I used that as an opportunity to make a lot of transformation in myself. And after all of that, I called my old friends again. I called him, and my best friend, my best friend, I called him. He was in the bus on a school field trip. And I partially expected him to just being like, screw off, and then hanging up the call. But then he was actually like, okay, and he listened to me, and then he's like, I hung out with you for most of the time, and then we'll speak later, and then he hung up the call. But that's not the point. The reason that I did that, and the reason I'm telling you this, is that just before I called him, I did what's called a death meditation, where you sink into the perspective that you died, and you see what comes up, and you start taking action on it. You start reflecting on your life. Like the moment I finished that, I was shaking. One of the times I did it multiple times, and one of the times I did that, I was shaking because there was so much untapped potential inside of me. I wanted to tell my family that I loved them. I wanted to tell my friend that I was grateful for them. I wanted to start a business. And I knew that what I need to do. I knew the actions I need to take, but then I was just procrastinating so much, and that hit me inside. At that moment, I called my friend, one of my current friends, who was like actually like much better for me. Still, I need to meet more like-minded people. I just called him. And I was like, man, I'm grateful to have you in my life. I love you, man. And he's not like me. He's not the type of person who's like getting vulnerable with his emotions and everything. He just joked around. He knew that, right? He knew that I was having a vulnerable moment, and he took it in a good way. But then he was like, bro, why is your voice is vibrating so much? Why is your phone vibrating? And we just joked around with that. Later, before New Year, this was the story of how I like told my parents I loved them for the first time. I was like to my mom and my sister, I was like, I'm doing this workshop, I want to be more vulnerable with people, so in the future I'll be there saying things like, I'm grateful for you, I'm love you, etc., etc. And the moment when I actually did that was the next day. I wrote them like I wrote them like little sweet things for their birthday. And they asked me to like rewrite that with extra stuff. And I wrote that. And I told things like, this is basically like a gratitude letter for them. Why I'm grateful for them, why I love them. And then I told them I'm grateful for them before, but that like I love them part, that was my first time telling them. And when I told that, my voice was shaking. Like not just shaking, I was sweating, my voice was shaking. I'm pretty sure I wore this exact t-shirt and it was all wet. And then I hugged my mom, I hugged my sister, I hugged my dad. That was the first time. That was the first time. Oh, maybe they would have done it, hugged me when I was a child, and even now my dad would have hugged me. But that was the first time I went up and I hugged my family. That was the self-improvement transformation I went through. And in terms of my business, that I had this huge fear. And that's the last story that I'm going to tell you before I get into the most, probably one of the most important points you'll be hearing in your life. In my business, I called my friends. I was scared to do that because I wanted to create a student transformational program that I can pitch to my friends' families, and create a business out of that. But then the problem was that I was scared. I was scared to pitch it to my friends, to pitch it to my family members. But then I did that. I had lots of fears, huge amounts of fear. I called the friend, I called the family, I recorded the calls, and I was sweating in the middle of the calls. I was shaking. And then what happened? One of the calls I managed to get, after multiple calls, multiple rejections, I managed to get one person to pay $20, like $25, and another person to pay $25. And then I reduced this price to $5, and I got two people to pay $5. Which is like, it's just where I live, that's more amount of money, right? That's not just like a cheaper amount of money that you can just give it. That's a bit more valuable where I live, especially giving it to a student. But then what happened was, what I feared happened. Because my original thing is like, if I did this, if I do that, like, of course, my family knew that I was doing something like this. If I did all of that, my fear was like, what will happen? What will my parents think? What if it becomes an issue? I have to pitch them, I have to ask them for money. I was scared. And then one of the parents, probably because when I was selling, like, because they are the people that know me, I can't be selling and I can't be following up and being like this, like aggressive selling that I would if I'm talking to strangers. One of the parents told that my calls were disturbing, and instead of telling it to me, went and told it and complained to my school. And that became an issue. Like, my teachers came and scolded me, they called my parents. And that was a moment where my mom was called. I explained the situation to my family, and they're like, they scolded me, and of course, like, we had to talk about that. And then they're like, and then my mom was like, they had a call about the business, what? We want to talk to you about the student progress. That was the message. And then she came the next day to school, my mom and my sister, and they told two things. One about the business, and the second thing about my attitude. That my attitude was not good, this like arrogance that I'm having towards the teachers. Especially this one teacher that I didn't like. The other teacher, he just like misunderstood what to say. Took whatever I said in wrong ways. And the reason I'm telling you this, the reason I told you these three stories, is that, can you stop playing it so safe? Can you stop playing it so safe with life? Can you trust life again? Can you trust the world again? Can you trust people again? Because I have a lot of failure stories. Recently, I messed up in ways like I got exposed. Like taboo things that I would have never wanted my family to know, I got exposed. And that just shook me to the core. That was one of the most triggering, most stressful periods of my life. Bro, there are people out here who are like getting like, who are stressing so much about getting caught cheating in the exam. Bro, shit. That's nothing. But still, I went through that, and my relationship with my family is good. Good, of course, I have my resentment, problems with that, all the thing. And that's progress. And that's beautiful progress, but that's done in the middle of such triggering events. And my journey to my authenticity, to living to my values, to having the tough conversations, I became more of the man that I sought out to be. And doing that's character, that's self-movement, that to me is like a lot more meaningful than getting six-pack abs, a good physical. Those are like attractive things that I love to have, but these things, it just shakes you. These are the progress that shakes you, that changes the way that I experience life, because I'm working on the core self. I'm working on my core fears, my core things that are stifling me, the things that are resisting what I can bring into this world. I'm scared if I make a paid program in this channel, what will my family think, and what will they see if they see all the things that I did in order to like improve myself that are not like socially acceptable? What will they think? And that's the reason I'm making this video, is that take that damn risk. Shoot your shot. And if you miss, that's going to be some of the best progress you make. And if you win, that's going to be some of the best progress that you make. Because what happens doesn't matter, the fact that you choose to take the risk matters. And if you want this way that, if you like this way that I'm talking about triggering you, so about core transformation progress, which is actually what helped me change when I shifted schools, then like hit the subscribe button below with my channel, because that's the stuff that I'm going to be talking about a lot. And I think that you would really like this video because YouTube will recommend it to you, and that in this video I'll probably talk about things which are contrary to the mainstream self-improvement advice, the hums or the what Ali Abdal kind of productivity advice that you would have heard. So click on this video and I'll see you there. Don't forget, I'm watching you from afar and I'm rooting for you. Take action.